or Berry Hill Barbecue. I wanted to bring you a video of me doing ribs on my battle box. I'm still working on this video editing thing, so bear with me. I'm going to try to narrate this and do a bit of a voiceover. I'm using the Fire and Flame Society charcoal that I showed you in my video the other day and mispronounced constantly. It's really light and fluffy, but the chunks were huge, so I wanted to see how it burned, and as it turned out, and you'll see at the very end of the video, it burned quite well, and I think I had about half left over after a 4 or 5 hour burn. So pretty good stuff. I'm just showing you where I'm laying it out. Where I'm pointing right there is where I'm gonna add lit coals from a chimney. So yeah, here's the brand again. Showing you the chunk sizes, which again are massive. Very nice stuff, good quality control on their part. And here we are, slide the basket in. You gotta get it in there correctly. You gotta have it grab a lip, otherwise it's liable to fall out. But once it's on the lip, you don't have to worry about that. So eventually I figured it out. Slam this door. That feels good. So I ended up using cherry and pecan wood. They're both pretty agreeable woods, not too strong. I really like pecan a lot. It's my jack of all trades choice of wood. I grew up on hickory. Hickory's nice, but you can over smoke things with hickory, so. Here you go. Here's the charcoal brand once again, so you can see. I decided to add some more. I think was just in case it burned through what I had initially put in there on the heat up, because it takes about 1 hour, an hour and 30 minutes to heat this grill up, depending on how you do it, and you can mess that up and extend that period. I don't yet have a blower attachment, so I can't speed the process up. It's all about how much charcoal you seed in there, how much lit charcoal you seed in there rather, and what your pathing is on the maize. So here I am setting up my charcoal. I use the Weber lighter root cubes, and they're really nice. They work in the wind. If you can get them lit, they do great. Going to move my grill to a better place. Right now I don't have a cover, or at least at the time of this video I didn't have a cover. I have one now. Make some space in my backyard that will adequately hold it and not let it run away down a hill or something like that. So right now I'm using this, I'm using a reverse ramp to hold it. It's braced underneath, you can't see that. I do not recommend doing this near wood because you could start a fire. I have a pan down there to prevent any of the embers from burning the composite board it's sitting on. Use my Flameboss 300 for data logging. When I get the correct adapter for the 2-inch ball valve, I'll have the fan set up as well. For now, I just use it for the data logging since this is pretty far away from my computer. The app also makes it really easy to check on your phone. So I'm putting the Flameboss probe port on the rack I intend to use. You'll see this becomes a problem later when I put the ribs in the wrong place and I end up sending the temp probe on the pit down. I move the ribs and then I put it against my Flameboss probe and it plummets in temp, and I knew there was no way the actual pit was plummeting in temp even having been open, and it turns out that's why. Here I am prepping the ribs. You can see my fiancé in the background. She's gonna make a goofy face in a bit. I believe these are baby backs, but I could be wrong. I forget offhand. So yeah, at one point I thought there was some silver skin on this. It looked like it. I tried. I didn't find much silver skin, so I decided that there wasn't any and I wasn't going to bother with it. At any rate, I end up using some Byron's butt rub on this, and you'll see that coming up. I find it's a pretty good general rub. Also, it happens to be really cheap at my Costco, so that makes it very easy to get. Here's my bad microbiology practice. Wash your hands, folks. I'm definitely not practicing good food safety here. So yeah, just liberally coat those bad boys. Make sure whatever you're using doesn't have a ton of salt in it, because I have over salted ribs in the past using the high salt content rubs and too much of it on ribs. Also, if you happen to be one of those folks who do the 3-2-1, you might consider using unsalted butter. That can also help reduce the saltiness of the ribs in the end. I don't really do that because I don't like the mess. So we're back out here. This is just looking at the smoker, chilling. It's nicely going along. I think it's about 250 or 225 at this point. And you can see me with my GoPro on. I just found one my girlfriend had stashed away and all the accessories, so I've been trying to use it to film more. It's much easier to transfer data from that than it is from an iPhone. iPhone does shoot beautifully though. Also trying to work on my video editing, which you'll notice through this. I'm gonna, this is about my 3rd or 4th video. I'm getting better as we go. Still a lot of room for improvement. Anyhow, put the ribs here. This is, I think, where I'm starting to, I noticed a drop in temp there on the pit thermometer. And what happened was I put the ribs there, I closed the door, and the pit thermometer is pretty long, 2 or 3 inches. It ended up stabbing into the ribs. So it plummeted in temp, but the actual pit temp was higher. So if you look on my Flameboss, it was pretty high. Well, I end up moving the rack here in a bit, and you'll see that. And when I initially moved the ribs to the side so they wouldn't get poked by the thermometer, but when I did, I pushed them into my Flameboss Pro, and so it plummeted in temp, and it made for a really confusing situation that eventually I remedied. Here we are just spraying the ribs, making sure they stay nice and moist. I am running a water pan, but I don't have a ton of water in it because it's a bit of a pain after the cook to deal with, so I decided I'd just spray a little more often. So here we are later. This is about a 4-hour cook, and I ended up having to do some work in between. I'm checking the ribs for feel here, just to see how, do they crack, how they act when you pick them up. And honestly, I should have taken them off here, but I didn't end up doing that, and it's a bit of a regret, because later you'll see when I pick them up, they kind of fall apart. Looking back on it, I would have done it. Pulled them slightly sooner if I knew that was what was going to happen. So there you see the crack right there. And here I am rushing off to get a cutting board. I have a sink down there, so that's why I have all my stuff in my basement. Pull them off, set them aside. So yeah, here we are inside, cutting them up. Turn them over because it's easier to cut that way. They end up coming out all right. They don't have the nicest smoke ring to them, but they tasted good, which is the important part. I would not throw them away or kick them out of my kitchen. So it wasn't a bad experience cooking ribs on the Battle Box. I really like the smoker. I don't have it here, but the temp logs are pretty stable once you get it where it needs to go. It can get away from you if you're not careful, and that's something to be considerate of. So at the end of the day, here's how much charcoal I had left. About half of it. It ended up working out pretty well. One thing I'll comment on this charcoal and say is that it lit really fast, and in that chimney it took about half the time other charcoal would to light, and overall it seemed to burn pretty efficiently to the point where I could do another cook off of this without probably having to reload. So yeah, pretty nice stuff. So I'm gonna leave you guys with some B-reel. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I appreciate you bearing with me. I'm going to try to make better videos with better editing and better narration, and hopefully be more entertaining in the near future. Thanks for joining.